don't know if anybody's speaking, but I can't hear anybody.
Yep, just about to get started.
Oh no, that's okay. I've just been having trouble with my audio, so I wasn't sure. And my speaker, I didn't know if it was on.
No, can hear you
Perfect.
loud and
Thank
clear.
you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another CEJA reporting office hours session. And the second half, we'll be going over the program completion follow-up tab and transition outcomes section. But wanted to let you know of some updates that we have going out in the sprint and some things that came up um, since our previous round of updates that we'll be working to update for our next round as well. So the first thing I wanted to provide an update on was, let me see which customer in test I had as an example for this. We had an issue with the progress page where if we had a service in this career plan section, um, so for instance, we have this one as successful completion and this one, if it was evaluated but not required, this was showing a yellow flag, but we made an update so that evaluated not required is an acceptable status, and it will it'll make this green for good rather than needs attention because evaluated not required. um, we'll make that as an acceptable status as well. There was another issue where there were navigators who, when they were adding a customer into the system, there's the message after the account creation or account sync. It would show the username of the customer, but it would not show um, the button to. I got a screenshot of this here for someone who is in test. It would not show the button to continue to the application. We've got a fix in for that. So after the update tomorrow night, we'll have that there. They were still able to access the customer record by going to, selecting the customer's name in the list, selecting the intake tab, and then reaching the application. But there was an update that had hidden this from the navigator view, which we'll have resolved. And let's see, the other updates that we have in this sprint to go over. Navigate to the work plan and reports here. Check to see if I need to switch to a different environment here. Programmers are pushing out an update. So one moment here. Or other testing environment here. Okay. So in the work plan and reports and under project work plan, let's select our first option here. That'll take us to this page here, and we've added in a section for the training programs. So the training programs, as the parent grantee, the training programs that you add, and along with the programs added by the sub-grantees, those will be pulling through to here so you can get that summary information. And clicking this button here will take us to where that information can be added and edited. But then also in this cohort section, we select the cohort name here. We've added a field for capacity. So with your with the program that this cohort is tied to, in this case, program ABC, we can indicate the capacity for that program. And I also want to show in this report section, in the cohort report, see this information here. So let's say so climate works and cohort type, job specific. We can see that the cohort that we've added here, cohort 2, we've entered a capacity of 15 on that screen. If we have this info bubble here that we're adding that just says this represents the total capacity of the cohort and does not indicate the number of open seats, individuals in the intake phase are not yet assigned to a cohort. And as customers are added to the cohort, looks like this wasn't a good example here, but they will populate in this column here, which would pull up the customer list and those customers specifically in that. And let me see if I can find a good example here in a second. But then I also want to note that if we select the cohort name over here, we'll get this modal window to pop up. We'll have cohort and program information. And then we'll also have in this address field, if we click this hyperlink here, this will open a link to Google Maps to show that address. And let me actually log in as different workforce hub as the Workforce Hubs grantee, so we can see that customer list pulling through here. So let's see, Workforce Hubs specific, filter here. Here we go. So we can see we have a little bit more information and customers tied to cohorts here, tied to cohorts. So we can see, in this case, Richland Council, cohort 1, there's a capacity of 30, but there's 5 who are enrolled. And if we select this 5, then we'll see those 5 customers. Let me see here if there's anything else to know about those. Okay. I don't believe I had anything else with those updates. But these are the updates that we'll have going out tomorrow night. But there were a few other things I wanted to note before opening it up to Q&A. So with our previous round of updates, there were some, we've been adding in some fields for, let me see, actually, I think we resolved them on tests, so it'll be kind of difficult to show, but we did have some questions that were added for the CEJA programs, and these were under the, I actually have a screenshot of this. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. So we had some questions in the pre-screening that were showing up. If the answer, so for the question, do you have other barriers to employment? If yes was selected, then we'd have these 4 questions here show up. And these are for CEJA, not CEJA. So what we'll be doing those is we'll just be hiding those so that you don't have to see them. But in the meantime, if you're entering customers today, you can just select, prefer not to say, so you're able to, advance there. And we also had there are a couple different inquiries from navigators and grantees that in the, let's see if test is back up since I got this customer pulled up over here. In the section for, let's see here, try UAT as well. And a better look over here. Okay, so on the pre-screening, in the pre-screening window, we had some questions that came up that would show returning resident. I'm logged in as a workforce hub grantee, but we have returning resident. What just to kind of clear up any confusion that there might be, that even if the question up here, have you ever been incarcerated for a felony or misdemeanor, is selected as no, that the customer would still show up as being eligible for returning resident. And so what we'll do, again, just to prevent any confusion, is if you're not a part of if you're not a grantee who has access to the returning resident program, what we're going to do is just show NA, not applicable for for the other CEJA grantees. And navigators as well. And then the only other thing I wanted to note was another update we're going to be working on is if pre-screening is being filled out and the program selection in the dropdown, we have refer to navigator. Currently, we only have does not meet pre-screening requirements, but we're going to add another field in there, refer to navigator, so that you can, so as a navigator, or you can save the information, the pre-screening information for the customer without showing does not meet pre-screening requirements. And for those that do have refer to navigator as the program type, and pre-screening result does not meet pre-screening requirements, even though we can see up here that they do. We're going to make a data correction to that, so they don't continue to show as not meeting pre-screening requirements, even if they do. Okay, so with that, those are the updates that we have coming this week, and some updates we're going to be working on looking ahead. With that, I'll go ahead and open it up to questions before we get into our demo for program completion and transition outcomes. If there's any questions about the updates or anything else, or something that we could walk through before we get into the demo portion, just feel free to add in the chat or unmute and ask away.
I have a question, David. So when we transfer people over, I just want to, if you can go over that process of like how to transfer people over properly, just to make sure I was doing it properly.
Yeah, let me see here. Let me see who I should log in with.
Because I know sometimes, like when we recruit people, they're not necessarily in the Metro East area. Like for instance, we recruited 3 people in the Chicagoland area, and I believe I transferred them properly. But then they went to another hub, and the hub had told them they had to re-sign up. So I'm like, I don't see why they had to re-sign up if I did it properly. So I'm assuming I might not have. So I just need to make sure I was doing it right.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Okay, so let me log in as a navigator here. All right, so okay, logged in as a navigator, and so there's a couple different ways to transfer depending on the customer's account status. So if they are an inquiry, and let me filter to one here. Okay, how about this customer? Okay, so if they're an inquiry, it looks like we'll have to fill out some of the information here in order to transfer them. Okay. So if they're an inquiry account, what we can do is we can select, which program and provider that we need to, direct that customer to. And, we can click submit. And then that provider, they'll be able to see them in the system in their customer list. Let's see here. Okay. So they'll be able to see them in the customer list. If we needed to, sorry, hang on. Selection for this customer. I thought I did. Sorry, one moment here. I don't know why this UAT environment is not. I would do. Oh, sorry. I know why. Got the wrong filter selected. Okay, there we go. So that's how you can, how I selected as inquiry level, directing them to a grantee. If they were already, so if they have a status, greater than inquiry, if they're further along, whether that's, pre-screening or applicant, what we can do is we can go to their intake page. And if we go down to this section over here, customer status for pre-screening, if we check this box, transfer customer to a different navigator or grantee, what we can do is just select, from here. If it's Climate Works, then we have our list of Climate Works grantees. If it's a different navigator, then we have our navigator selection there. But let's say Workforce Hubs, because I think they're currently with, yeah, Climate Works. So we'll say Workforce Hubs and let's say Richland Council. So then a customer would like to enroll in Workforce Hubs with Richland Council. Okay, and so then we'll click the button to submit transfer. And so then what'll happen is the those who have access to Richland Council in the CEJA system, they'll receive an email. And I don't think I can log into that account at the moment, but they'll receive an email with a link to this customer's page. And they will see, let's see here, let me log in as them. T. And so they'll receive a link to this customer's intake tab here, and they'll see this button, respond to request. And when they click the button to accept, then this customer, in this case, Andy, will show in their customer list. Additionally, it's something we recommend all grantees, navigators check on a regular basis in the system just to make sure everyone's on top of transfer requests, because things might get lost in email. It may go to a junk folder, depending on how the email settings are set up. But we do have in this dashboard for all grantees and navigators. We filter here. I believe it's in the first row here. Respond to transfer requests. This was not a good example here. Hang on. Well, I might have been a little too fast for the system. I might need to refresh the status here. So we went from adding the customer to transferring them right away here. So let me refresh that. Filter. Okay, well, I suspect this is a issue with UAT. Let me go back to test. Let's put this out here. So okay, let's filter. Let me actually just log in as a super admin so I can see everything here. Kind of hopping around between test environments and different users here. Okay, there we go. So, all right, in our test environment, we have 6 transfer requests. That's for everybody here. But what all the grantees and navigators can see in their dashboard when they filter is respond to transfer requests, and they would see how many they have. And if we select that hyperlinked list, we'll then see all the customers in the system who have a request that needs a response to. So if we, for instance, open this customer's record and go to their intake page, we can see the button here, respond to request, and we'll see that the grantee Compass Pointer has requested that transfer. for the customer. And so then we'll just click accept. Response is completed. And then if we go back to our customer list here, so these were the 6 customers responding to transfer requests. If we click search here, so it went from 6 to 5. And if we open up this list again, then I believe that customer's name was Wendy. We can see that that transfer has been completed. And I do have, I know it was a little, frankly, kind of messy demonstration of that, but we do have a page of the partner guide where I have recorded videos walking through the different scenarios of how transfers can be made by a navigator, by a grantee. Now they can be responded to by a navigator, grantee, and the different customer, whether they're an inquiry or a inquiry or greater. And let's see here. Just sorry, give me one moment to get too many windows and logins going at once. Give me one moment here, sorry. Provide a link to, we can share with everybody. Okay, here, let me get this, share this link here. Let me find the chat. But for the customers in question, though, if you want to send me an email or a help request, just to make sure that we have those transfers all squared away, we can certainly work on those. But let me just kind of show what this link is showing here. So, yeah, we have instructional videos and some documents too that walk through, if we're transferring a customer who has an inquiry status, who has an applicant status, transferring from someone in your list to another grantee or navigator, and how to respond to the pending transfer requests.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. We are at the halfway point, so I'll go ahead and go over the, let's see, program completion and transition outcomes. Just refresh a couple things over here to make sure I have the right login. So we don't get through any other issues here. This is customer. Let me just start from the beginning with my browsers here. Okay. All right, so customer I added just before our call here. It's this one. And so for this customer, they are enrolled. We've completed intake, earned the credential. And so we can go to the program completion and follow-up tab. And so on this tab, we can make an update to their training completion status and their overall program completion status. And let's see here. So open this up. For training completion status, we're going to want to make sure, this first one here, we're going to want to make sure that we have all services closed, or, updated so that they're not started open. So in this case, we do have one service that has a status of started open that we'll need to update. Let's go ahead and mark this as successfully complete. Okay. Just refresh this one more time. All right, so now that we've got our services updated, we can update the training completion status. So we are currently enrolled with this customer. So we'll click to add completion status, and then we have our options here. Currently, we're in progress, but we can update to complete or withdrawn. And if they do end up withdrawing, we'll, in the career plan, we'll update any services that were not complete as unsuccessful completion. But in this case, we'll select complete and we'll click save. And we'll be prompted to leave a case note here. Training. All right, and then we will see that their training completion status is now complete. You also see that on the customer status as well. And let's see. Let's add a transition outcome. So we can add a transition outcome. They may still be receiving wraparound support services. So we don't want to quite close program completion status yet. We're kind of being the overall CEJA program. But for transition outcome status, we have a few different options that we can select if we click to add. In the outcome, we have apprenticeship, job placement, other training, open small business, and job search. And depending on what we select, we'll see different questions for the different outcomes. So if we select apprenticeship, and we can then select the status applied, denied, placed, or waitlisted. And then we'll just answer the questions here. Is this apprenticeship in clean energy or construction building trades? Is it union or non-union? Then is it a DOL registered apprenticeship program? And then you can enter in the apprenticeship program name. Let me see here. Try that again. I've gone through too many menus here. Changes into the menu drop downs. Yes. I think I got a little confused there. So added that. We'll get a case note here. We refresh the page. We'll then see the transition outcome has been added here. If we needed to edit this, we can click this and we'll have that modal window here. We can make changes. If we needed to remove it, we could also click the X to remove that outcome. But walking through a couple other ones here. If we do job placement, then we'll have questions for, is it in clean energy or construction buildings trades, temporary or transition, they receive fringe benefits. And then we have the employment information here. And if we wanted to enter the SOC code, as we have on other parts of the system, we can do that lookup by selecting this button here to pull up the window. We can search for the SOC codes. Click Save. Case note. We can see the job placement outcome's been added there. For our next one, other training, it is this training in clean energy or construction buildings trades. And the type of training, community college, university, trade school, on-the-job training that's not apprenticeship, and other. Just see here. Okay, so say community college. Check the information here. Then we can select a status for where they are in the other training. So we can say, well, currently they're enrolled in it as of October 1st. Save. And another case note. Our other training outcome. And then if we go to our fourth option, open to small business, is this business in clean energy or construction building trades? And then the state of the business, is it declining, steady, or growing? And business address. Turn the information here. Oh, that's a URL field, not a zip code. Oops. Year the business opened. What services does this business provide? And a follow-up date. So click save. Oh, zip code is required. And we'll get that added in there and leave a case note. See our small business outcome's been added. And then the last transition outcome is job search. So if there's an interview date, we can add. And then for the job search, is it in clean energy, construction, building trades? And is the job a temporary or transition job? Another case note here. Transition outcomes, and then we'll see our job search outcomes down here. And then for the program completion status, once the customer's no longer receiving any services, including wraparound support services, they'll be deemed exited. So then we can update the training program completion status to exited. And then we'll leave another case note. should see that their status will update. Yep, to exited. And we got a couple other things down here just to make note of. This is part of the follow-up for the customers. And I'd have to check, or Natasha or RA's, is the follow-up for these increments, is that post-completion or post-exit? I think it's post-exit.
Exit. Exit with follow-up.
Exit with follow-up. Okay. Thought it might have been
Correct,
exit. So
Yeah, they do have follow-up
after exit. Awesome. Thank you. So then, yeah, we would just have the follow-ups for 1, 2, 3, 6, and 9 months, and then 1 year, 2nd year, and 3 years after the follow-up. And you can, for the applicable one, you can select the option to add a case note, and it's like the case notes that we've seen previously in the system here that we can add that in. And then the earned credentials, these will be the credentials that are added to the training services and the career plan. They'll pull over here. And let's see. Okay, so yeah, they'll, if they're added to the training service, they'll pull over here with that information. And then this is a link to our success stories guide. And over here, add success story. This will take you to our success story guide in workNet, where you have videos and instructional handouts and guidance for tips on how to submit a success story. And if you're submitting it for a customer, you'd be selecting this link here. You can submit on behalf of a customer. And under customer story, you can click search. And then, because this is production here. Give me 1 moment here. Don't want to show a production. New production here. Trying to pull up the test equivalent. Okay. All right, so then we could submit for a customer here, and you can search for a customer by their username in workNet, which is right here under the profile section. And now we have some updates and tests for success stories. So I'm not sure I'll be able to walk through this entirely, as I see it's kind of buffering here. But you'd be able to select, what we would see below here is a table where you would select the customer, and then you would get a form that you can complete to fill out that customer's information and submit it as a success story. I think that's all I wanted to cover was the program completion and transition outcomes. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or RAs, if there's anything you'd like to add regarding the outcomes or exiting.
I
None for
have
me.
a
Sorry, I have a question related to the transition outcomes. I noticed on the customer page, it still has listed even students that I've placed in jobs there. They're still listed as not placed under employment post-secondary status on that first page. Is there someplace else I need to be doing something to get that to change?
I don't believe, I think we might have to make a update for that. Let me just check here. Because I might be looking at what we
We have a
previously
card for
had.
that. I think we have a
Yeah.
card for that. It just hasn't made it high enough on the priority list, but we can see about getting it in the sprint.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was something going on with that, but I wanted to double check because I hadn't said anything for a while. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, I don't know if the RAs have anything else that they'd like to add or share with the group.
Nothing for me today,
Okay.
thank.
I don't either. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you. Well, in that case, if there's no other questions, we can go ahead and stop the recording and end our call here. But if anything comes up, please feel free to send an email and a help request ticket, and we'll connect with you and work to resolve anything that comes up. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, y'all.